All right, so you're joining us for a deep dive into Magnificent Seven, Chapter 3 this time.
Mm-hmm.
This chapter is called Mac and Cheese with Bacon.
Okay.
And let me tell you, the title does not disappoint.
Right.
Our heroes are on a quest to investigate a legendary vampire lord in the Edifed,
Right.
which, by the way, is this super mysterious, mist-shrouded region
Yeah.
known for its, shall we say, interesting inhabitants.
Interesting is a good word for it.
But before they can even think about tackling an ancient bloodsucker,
Yeah.
they need to gear up and gather some intel in Sparktongue.
Makes sense.
That's the hometown of D-Max and Talia, two of our Magnificent Seven.
Right.
Seems straightforward enough, right?
You would think so.
Well, you're about to see how a simple supply run can go completely haywire,
Uh-oh.
all thanks to some bad tavern etiquette.
Oh, no.
A paladin with a troubled past.
Oh, boy.
And yes, you guessed it, mac and cheese.
Wow. That's quite a combination.
It really is.
What's so fascinating about this chapter is that it throws a wrench into the typical heroic narrative.
Yeah.
You'd expect a group setting off to fight a legendary evil to be laser-focused on the mission.
Sure.
But here we see their individual personalities, past traumas,
Right.
and even their cravings for comfort food completely derail their carefully laid plans.
Oh, absolutely. They've got this whole plan.
Ugh.
D-Max and Alivor are going to meet with the town's military commander for intel.
Right?
Cal, well, Cal being Cal, decides he wants to get pickpocketed to test the town's defenses.
Oh, interesting tactic.
And Eknatalia and Darren head to the Sleeping Anvil Tavern for some classic eavesdropping.
The classic tavern, good choice.
What could possibly go wrong?
Well, for starters, Cal's plan to get pickpocketed backfires spectacularly.
Oh, no.
Not only does he fail to attract any would-be thieves,
Oh, wow.
but young Ezra, who they've affectionately nicknamed Junior,
Oh, yeah.
ends up being the one relieved of 2 gold pieces.
Poor Junior. It's almost like the universe has a sense of humor, right?
It really does seem that way sometimes.
But this seemingly minor incident actually foreshadows the larger theme of the chapter, that even the most meticulous planning can't account for the chaos factor, especially when dealing with human nature.
Exactly. And this theme becomes even more apparent in the Sleeping Anvil.
Mm-hmm.
You have this group of seasoned adventurers trying to blend in and gather information.
Right.
They end up sticking out like sore thumbs, particularly in the Empire of the Talon,
Yeah.
which is known for its strict social hierarchies and subtle power dynamics.
He's not exactly known for being casual.
Right.
And it doesn't help that Cal has the social graces of a bull in a china shop.
Oh, dear.
He walks right up to a group of merchants, spins a chair around backward, plops down, and demands to know what they're up to.
Oh, Cal, what are you doing?
Talk about a way to make a good first impression.
Oh, my goodness. His
Yeah.
approach completely disregards the unspoken rules of engagement in the Talon.
Yeah.
It's a reminder that cultural context plays a crucial role in communication. And assumptions about what's considered normal behavior can lead to some very awkward, even dangerous misunderstandings.
Yeah, you don't want to make those kinds of mistakes.
Right.
The merchants, understandably, tell him to get lost, and their bodyguards even start to approach.
Oh.
Thankfully, Alivor steps in.
Oh, good.
Remember him, the paladin.
Of course.
He tries to smooth things over by offering to buy everyone mac and cheese with bacon.
Smart move.
Because nothing says, let's be friends, like a heaping plate of cheesy goodness, right?
I mean, who doesn't love mac and cheese?
Alivor's gesture is fascinating on several levels.
Yeah.
On the one hand, it speaks to his innate desire for peace and harmony.
Mhm.
He's trying to de-escalate the situation with an act of generosity.
Right.
But on the other hand, it hints at a deeper struggle within him.
Oh,
A need to atone for past failures, perhaps.
that's a great point. And speaking of past failures, things are about to get really intense for Alivor.
Uh-oh.
While he's busy playing peacemaker with the merchants, D-Max strikes up a conversation with a lone figure at the bar.
All right.
And this stranger drops a bombshell.
What is it?
He's an escaper from Bone Sleeper,
Oh, wow.
a village that was overrun by vampires.
Oh, no.
And this is where the seemingly lighthearted tavern scene takes a dark turn.
I was afraid you were going to say that.
Alivor was part of a mission to save Bone Sleeper, but failed.
Oh.
He carries immense guilt over what happened there,
Right.
especially the fate of the children.
Yeah. And we find out that the vampires who took over Bone Sleeper did something particularly horrific.
Oh no, what do they do?
They filed down the children's teeth to make them look more vampiric.
Ugh, that's just awful.
Just a chilling detail that really underscores the depravity of the enemy they're facing.
Imagine the psychological impact of such an act, both on the children and on someone like Alivor, who was unable to protect them.
Yeah.
This backstory adds a whole new dimension to Alivor's character and explains why this seemingly random encounter at the bar hits him so hard.
It makes sense, especially for someone like Alivor.
He's visibly shaken by the news.
Yeah.
He's grappling with his guilt and the resurfaced trauma of that failed mission.
Of course.
And just when it seems like things couldn't get more tense, Darren decides to help the situation.
Oh boy, this is not going to be good.
Remember, he's at the sleeping anvil with Ecne and Talia supposedly to gather intel subtly.
Right.
But subtle isn't really in Darren's vocabulary.
I can imagine. No, it's not.
Yep.
He marches right up to the merchant's table, gets in their faces, and demands to know why they've been staring at their group.
Oh, geez.
It's a classic case of misinterpreting social cues and reacting impulsively, which, as we've seen, isn't exactly uncommon for this group.
It's almost like they're allergic to peace and quiet.
You might be right about that.
And remember, Alivor's already on edge after hearing about Bone Sleeper.
Yes.
So when the merchants try to brush off Darren's confrontation, saying they were just enjoying their mac and cheese,
Aye.
well, let's just say Alivor completely snaps.
Oh, no. Yeah, it's almost as if that mac and cheese became like the symbolic trigger for Alivor.
Oh, yeah.
You know, he offered it as like a peace offering,
Right.
but in his mind, it like became twisted, representing their indifference to
Yeah.
the suffering that he couldn't prevent.
Wow, you're right. It's like his good intentions got completely warped in that moment.
Yeah.
He lunges at the lead merchant,
Oh no.
pinning him against the table,
Oh jeez.
starts yelling about how he gave them mac and cheese.
Oh my.
And the least they can do is answer his questions.
This outburst isn't just about like a plate of cheesy noodles.
No, yeah.
It's about the weight of his past failures, the guilt he's been carrying,
Yeah.
and the frustration of encountering a world
Right.
that doesn't always acknowledge the depth of that suffering.
Right. It's heartbreaking,
Yeah.
but also incredibly powerful to see him wrestling with these emotions.
Absolutely.
And of course, it all happens while the rest of the party is just standing there stunned.
Oh, yeah.
They're probably thinking, here we go again.
Well, their reactions are interesting, too.
Yeah.
Some are shocked. Some are ready to jump in and fight.
Yeah.
And Cal's response is probably the most telling.
What did he do?
In the midst of all this chaos, he
Yeah.
quips, and you guys think I'm the psychotic one?
Classic Cal. Always with a perfectly timed dose of dark humor.
Right.
But his comment also underscores the fact that this group, despite their heroic aspirations, is deeply flawed and prone to making questionable decisions.
And those questionable decisions often have consequences.
Yeah.
The commotion attracts the attention of the town guard.
Uh-oh.
And now our heroes have a new problem to deal with.
Talk about out of the frying pan and into the fire. So what do?
Yeah.
They can't exactly stand there and explain that their paladin had a mac and cheese-induced meltdown
Right.
triggered by a vampire-related trauma.
No, not a good look.
That's not going to fly in Spark Tongue.
Luckily, Ecne thinks fast.
Oh, good.
She notices a back exit from the tavern and suggests they make a run for it before the guards arrive.
Good thinking.
Yeah.
They bolt out the back,
Or,
leaving a trail of bewildered merchants,
yep.
spilled mac and cheese, and a whole lot of unanswered questions.
Yeah, it's not exactly a graceful escape.
Mm.
But hey, at least they avoid getting arrested.
But this escape raises another interesting question.
What's that?
How will this incident impact their reputation in Spark Tongue?
That's a good point.
They've just caused a major scene in a popular tavern,
Right.
alienated some potentially valuable contacts,
Uh-huh.
and basically made themselves enemies of the local law enforcement.
Not exactly the best way to start a mission, right?
Definitely not. And to make matters even more hilarious, who walks into the tavern just as they're making their escape?
Oh no, who is it?
Cortland.
Cortland.
Remember him?
Yeah.
The mysterious guide who's supposed to be leading them to the vampire lord?
Oh yes, Cortland.
He strolls in,
Uh-huh.
completely oblivious to the mayhem that just unfolded.
And casually asks, what did I miss?
The timing is just perfect.
I know, right?
It's like the comedic punchline to this whole ridiculous situation.
Yeah.
Here they are fleeing from the town guard after a paladin-fueled brawl,
Uh-huh.
and their guide is just cluelessly wandering in, asking about appetizers.
It's a moment of pure comedic brilliance.
It really is.
And it perfectly captures the unpredictable nature of their journey.
So they manage to escape the tavern, but they're not out of the woods yet.
Right.
They decide to lay low at Talia and D-Max's homes for the night,
Smart.
hoping to avoid further run-ins with the guard.
Good idea.
But the question remains,
Yeah.
how will they handle the fallout from this chaotic encounter?
It's a precarious situation. They're already dealing with the psychological burdens of their past,
Right.
the pressures of this dangerous mission,
Yeah.
and now they've added a layer of social and legal complications.
It's a reminder that even the most powerful adventurers can be brought down by seemingly mundane things,
Yeah.
like poor communication, unchecked emotions,
Yeah.
and of course, a poorly timed bowl of mac and cheese.
And let's not forget the information they were supposed to be gathering.
Oh yeah, that's right.
All this chaos completely derailed their initial plan.
Will they be able to salvage their mission?
That's a good question.
Or will the consequences of their actions in Sparktongue come back to haunt them?
That's the beauty of this story.
Yeah.
It keeps you guessing.
It really does.
We see these characters make mistakes, struggle with their pasts,
Mm-hmm.
and navigate the complexities of human interaction.
And through it all, there's this underlying tension.
Yeah.
Will they overcome these obstacles and ultimately succeed in their quest?
Right.
Or will their flaws ultimately lead to their downfall?
It's a question that keeps you hooked.
It really does.
And as we leave our heroes licking their wounds and regrouping,
Right.
we're left to ponder,
Yeah.
what does this chapter tell us about them, their motivations, and their capacity for both heroism and, well, other ridiculousness?
It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? Are they going to learn from this whole mac and cheese debacle? Or are they just doomed to repeat these kinds of mistakes over and over again?
Yeah, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Uh-huh.
And it's what makes this story so compelling.
Yeah.
These aren't like your typical flawless heroes.
No.
They're flawed, impulsive, and often driven by their emotions.
Right.
And that's what makes them relatable.
Yeah, I agree.
Even in this world of magic and monsters.
Right. It's like we're watching a group of friends
Yeah.
stumble their way through a really intense role-playing game,
Mm-hmm.
except the stakes are incredibly high and there's no reset button.
And those high stakes add another layer of complexity to their actions.
For sure.
They're not just dealing with external threats like vampires and monsters.
Right.
They're also battling their own inner demons,
Yeah.
their past traumas, and their conflicting personalities.
It's like watching a pressure cooker about to explode.
Oh,
But instead of steam, it's this chaotic mix of magic, bad decisions, and of course, cheesy goodness.
And that chaotic mix is what keeps us on the edge of our seats,
Right.
wondering what they'll do next and how they'll manage to extricate themselves from the messes they inevitably create.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into Chapter 3,
Yeah,
we're left with a sense of both amusement and anticipation.
absolutely.
We've seen our heroes at their best and definitely at their worst.
Oh, and it's those worst moments that often reveal the most about who they are.
Yeah, you're right.
They're not perfect, but they're trying. They're
Yeah.
striving for heroism, but they're also human.
Right.
And that humanity is what makes their journey so captivating.
It's a reminder that even in the face of extraordinary circumstances,
yeah.
it's our flaws, our vulnerabilities, and our capacity for both good and bad that truly define us.
I think that's a great takeaway.
And that even a quest to defeat a legendary evil can be derailed by something as simple and as delicious as a plate of mac and cheese.
So as you continue reading, keep these questions in mind.
Okay.
Will our heroes learn from their mistakes?
Mm-hmm.
Will they be able to overcome their internal conflicts and work together as a team?
Good question.
And most importantly, will they ever live down the infamous mac and cheese incident of Sparktongue?
Only time will tell.
It really will.
But one thing is for sure, their journey is far from over.
Yeah.
And it's bound to be filled with more unexpected twists, hilarious mishaps, and hopefully some epic victories along the way.
It sounds like quite a ride.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
It's been a pleasure.
We'll see you next time for another adventure.